Hello, how are you? Today I brought you a delicious recipe. It's a dessert that looks like it's from a restaurant. It's so beautiful and so delicious, but very easy to make. It's extremely low in carbs, so it's great if you're doing keto to lose weight, to control your blood sugar, if you want better health, if you want to lose weight. This treat here is also very interesting. It has no sugar, no wheat flour, no gluten. You're going to love it. And since it's super nutritious, it can be a snack in the afternoon, even for breakfast. It's not just a dessert. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you if you have the habit of eating sweets on a daily basis. Dessert or not, if that's no longer part of your routine, I would love to see your comment. Remember to go ahead and like the video. That really helps me out here on the channel. And to get the ingredients, it's really easy. Just take a look down here. They're in the description, okay? Let's start by making the dough for this delicious treat, which will be the bottom layer, a little crust that I'll bake quickly. And then we'll make a topping. But I'll explain it to you better in a moment. So for the base, I'm going to use an egg here. Let's poke it to mix the yolk with the white, and I'll mix it right away with coconut oil here, so everything dissolves well. Remember that eggs contain vitamin D, one of the few foods that naturally have vitamin D. Eggs have choline, which is good for the brain, and albumin, a protein of high biological value. So it's really wonderful. I'm going to add the baking sweetener here because after all, as I mentioned, this is a recipe that will be baked. So it needs to be a sweetener that's stable at high temperatures. So Patricia, can you use brown sugar or demerara sugar? Yes, you can, but then it's no longer a ketogenic or low carb recipe, obviously. So it all depends on your eating style. Now, one thing I can tell you, I made a really nice video here talking about different sweeteners. The difference between those that can be cooked and those that need to be consumed cold and why that is, the risks, I'll leave it down here in case you want to know more about this. Now I'll add the baking powder because I like to always add it as the second to last ingredient so you don't get those little lumps because sometimes they can be harder to dissolve. And to get the right consistency for the batter, I'm going to use ground peanuts. You can use almond flour or any other low carb flour of your choice. Let me know which one do you usually use in your daily routine. Peanuts end up being a bit more economical than almonds in many cases, so it's a really interesting option for us to use. If you're doing it this way, just grab some unsalted peanuts and blend them. They're low in carbs and packed with healthy fats, fiber, and protein. Really healthy and worth adding to your diet. So I took this baking dish here and lined it with parchment paper, just so I can unmold it later. I'm going to bake it, and since I want it to be really practical, I'll bake it in the microwave. But you know, it also works in the air fryer in the oven. Tell me, what do you prefer in your routine? Where do you usually bake your recipes the most? Write it for me here in the comments. Now I'm going to press it down a little here to even it out and then take it to bake. And in just a little bit, I'll be back so we can make the topping. Hang on. Look, just 2 minutes and this cake gets really fluffy. Now I'm going to do something pretty cool here. I'm going to poke some holes in it with a toothpick because I want to moisten the cake. I got inspired for this recipe here by tiramisu, that Italian dessert that's coffee-based. So I took a bit of coffee and I'm going to soak the cake here so it gets really tasty and soft. If you don't like coffee, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. If you can have coffee, besides everything else, it also has the effect of its bioactive compounds, right? We know the benefits of coffee for thermogenesis, for focus, for alertness, for the liver. So it really is a wonderful food. So now I'm going to make the topping. I have here a bit of plain yogurt. I have a video on the channel teaching how to make good quality yogurt, and I'll leave that video linked below. If you're going to buy yogurt, it basically needs to have milk and live cultures. In fact, I made a video here talking about the main mistakes people make when buying yogurt, thinking they're buying yogurt when they're actually not. I'll leave that video in the description. I'm going to add to the yogurt my cheese from the channel. I also have a video teaching how to make it, which only requires milk and lemon juice. Now, if you don't want to, if you want to make it today, that's fine too, and you don't have a healthy cheese like this ready at home, buy a good quality cheese, a cottage cheese, a good quality ricotta, okay? So it will be interesting for you. I'm going to add a little bit of sweetener here. I also made a really nice video recently talking more about the different types of sweeteners. Talking more about this issue of people not knowing which is the best. Stevia, sucralose, xylitol, monk fruit, aspartame, and I'll leave it down here. And finally, I'm going to add a bit of vanilla extract here to bring out the sweetness, to give it that extra flavor, because after all, sweet food also needs to be seasoned, right? Sometimes we forget about that. So let me give all of this a good mix. Look at the consistency. Look how amazing it is. So I'm going to cover it here, the cake, and then I'll put it in the fridge. There's still one little detail missing, which will make all the difference when we taste it. But for now, this is it. I'll be back later. Hang on. I took it out of the fridge, and with the paper around it, it was much easier to remove it from the mold and have it look nice. Now, I'm going to put a bit of cocoa powder on top to make it look more like tiramisu, because I was inspired by that dessert, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. I think just adding the cocoa already gives it that fancy gourmet look, like a restaurant dessert. So tell me, do you also eat with your eyes first, like this? I totally do, and when we're serving it to family or friends, we have to put that extra care into it too. Time to try this delicious treat. It's amazing. Make it at home and you'll love it. I grabbed a spatula here just because I want to lift it up so you can see the layers. We're all curious to see how it turns out, right? Let me help with the fork here. Look at this, how amazing it is. Look, the cheese layer, the coffee layer, and the cake. Make it at home. You'll definitely love it. Look how fluffy this is. Look how amazing. Make it at home. You're going to love it. That coffee aroma is just wonderful. Make it yourself. Remember to like the video. It really helps me out, and share it with anyone you know who will enjoy it or who needs it. Let's spread this chain of kindness together. That's what I want here on the channel. Let's try it. It's incredible. You wouldn't even guess that it's low in carbs, that it's actually this healthy. Make it yourself. You'll thank me later for sure. See you next time. Bye.